Ladies and gentlemen, how do?
The media and political class are melting down over a punk rocker chanting at Glastonbury.
Well, I thought it was appalling, to be honest.
It does evoke some of the worst moments in human history, shall we say.
People question how on earth could Hitler ever have happened, point to Glastonbury and say, that's how.
Ignorant people who were waving Palestine flags at Glastonbury.
They're being indoctrinated at Glastonbury.
It's appalling, isn't it?
What I found more shocking was the crowd singing along with it.
Glastonbury, the hype and the tripe. This weekend, the Glastonbury Music Festival took place, and there was a bit of controversy that has been massively blown out of proportion, as Glastonbury, for which the tickets cost £380 plus, has always had a political slant. Why do I think it has been blown out of proportion? Well, it was obvious to Miss Evis when she booked an act like Kneecap that they were going to come on stage and do or say something controversial. It has been their modus operandi, but just how deep their actual beliefs go, that is debatable, as they are using the old Sex Pistols technique of being controversial, getting banned and creating headlines because it sells merchandise. Had this been at any other festival, then it might have had some credibility, but let's be honest here, Glastonbury is the posh kids festival where the public school boys that Graham Hughes claims to hate so much all go to be weekend warriors and pretend they are rebels and true working class heroes with the pink wellies and adorning the latest political statement t-shirts because they want to appear hardcore before they climb back inside the glamping tents or air-conditioned VW camper vans. Big headline news about thousands of posh kids who, after they had seen all the has-beens and tax dodgers like Rod, support Farage, Stewart, were gleefully shouting things like "Feck Keir Starmer" and "Kill the IDF" in their loudest, angriest, rebellious voices. But ask yourselves this: how many of those posh kids that didn't bat an eyelid at paying upwards of £380 a ticket, that's close to a 1 week's wage for an average worker, actually believe in the messages that they were chanting out for the cameras? It will just be a fond memory of being a rebel without a cause, and they will forget all about the people of Gaza once they get home to mummy and daddy. I want to address this part in Mr. Loki's video.
Think about the hypocrisy of the free speech warriors who have been harping on for years and years about how they are the ones being cancelled for what they say. Now lining up to try and cancel these musicians for voicing their points of view. When the Clash said, "I hate the army and I hate the RAF," when the Sex Pistols said, "God save the Queen and a fascist regime," many of the people today deriding Kneecap and Bobby Vylan were nodding along and smiling. Why was it okay for their generation to have punk musicians who challenged the status quo and the sacred ideas of the time, but it's not okay for this generation?
Where, in trying to be all hardcore and spitting out his best faux anger to the camera, he dropped in a lovely bit of ageism. My generation is the generation that he is pointing his bony finger at, claiming that we are all outraged at what a Johnny Rotten-come-lately bunch of Irish hip-hop kids Kneecap had to say. I have serious doubts that they actually believe in the political message they are chanting about, as their mentors, the Sex Pistols, knew all too well that controversy sells merchandise and creates headlines, and there is no such thing as bad publicity in the music industry. Mr. Loki, my generation, the one that you happily perform. A subtle bit of ageism on changed so much from attitudes toward racism, with Rock Against Racism, propelled women to forefront of music, developed a whole new musical culture of DIY, in everything from independent labels and fanzines, even the fashion, if you want to call it that, was DIY. And for your information, Mr. Ageist Loki, my generation were the generation that ended apartheid, got Nelson Mandela freed, and tore down the Berlin Wall. Now let me ask you this: just what have your generation managed to achieve? I'll wait. While everyone was spitting out the dummies and claiming that there was some kind of conspiracy to silence the message of Glastonbury and those protesting about Gaza, in the real world, there were actual protests, with real people that did not pay £380 plus to chant some slogans that they neither care about nor even believe in. Look, here are some real protesters on the streets fighting for what they believe in.
In a powerful show of resistance, tens of thousands of protesters marched through Budapest after a banned LGBT+ Pride event transformed into a wider demonstration against Hungary's nationalist government. Waving rainbow flags and chanting for equal rights, participants called out Prime Minister Viktor Orban's recent law allowing pride bans. Despite far-right counter-protests, police ensured the march remained peaceful. Support came from across Europe, with EU lawmakers and embassies backing the rally. Protesters declared this as their final moment to stand for equality and civil liberties in the face of rising state repression.
Some people might not like what I have had to say and might have gotten a bit offended that I would dare discredit the political darlings of protest kneecap, but come on, if they truly do stand behind their message and it is actually what they truly believe, then they are a big enough name to hold their own festival, protest. And have they done any gigs in support of the people of Gaza? I didn't see them on that aid boat alongside Greta Thunberg. To me it is a case of if you talk the talk then you must walk the walk, either poo or get off the pot, and so far I have not seen or heard anything that convinces me of their conviction. That is my little rant done with, although I am not as rantastic as Mr. David McGuinness is. Speaking of which, if you have not subscribed to the Two Davies channel for news and politics from the Scottish perspective, or you have not subscribed to Daily Blaze, the legend behind the Friday Frolic, then what is wrong with you?